A conservative think tank is taking the lead in the fight against the Biden administration. The Heritage Foundation says it is going on offense to expose the Biden regime and its enablers on Capitol Hill, in the administrative state, and at the state and local levels across the nation. That statement coming as the president describes himself as a moderate. Listen.
You guys have been trying to convince me that I am Bernie Sanders. I'm not. I like him, but I'm not Bernie Sanders. I'm not a socialist. I'm a mainstream Democrat, and I have been.
Joining me live, senior advisor for the Heritage Foundation, Mike Howell. Mike, what are you expecting to expose?
Well, there is certainly a long track record already in the Biden administration of absolute destruction and damage to this country. We have a year of abject failure across many policy lines, domestic and foreign. And so what we're aiming to do is arm policymakers and the public at all different levels with the information and evidence and body of investigative research they need to actually enforce accountability moving forward. And so that's what we're going to do. We're running up hills. We're charging up them. We're going to be issuing FOIAs. We're going to be suing. We're going to be conducting investigations. We're going to get the information that is needed to tell the true story of all the damage inflicted. And I'll tell you what, I think a lot of it was on purpose, full well know the consequences that would happen if they went down these radical lines, but they did it anyways, and those people need to be held responsible.
Mike, what areas are you expected to focus on?
So there is no shortage. I'll tell you a couple right off the bat. This border crisis, this attack on our national sovereignty, security, and well-being. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that if you rapidly undo all border security and enact open border policies, there will be a massive rush. The only question is now, why do they do it? Who did it? Who is responsible? So we're going to figure that out, and we're going to figure out who's responsible, where these folks have been placed around the country, and for what purposes. I think we are going to have an interesting story to tell. We want to talk about big tech's influence inside federal government. They're working as a partner and enforcement arm of the federal government to silent conservatives. We want to tell that story. We're not just limiting ourselves to action at the federal level. As we said, we're going to expose the regime. The regime includes all of those who implement radical leftist policy. The Biden administration isn't necessarily in charge. They're more of the enforcement arm. Biden just said that he was not Bernie Sanders. Yes, that's true. He's his errand boy. If you look at Build Back Better, that was a Bernie Sanders bill. So we're going to look at who's pulling the strings and pushing these things through and making the White House and other agencies act on, these terrible ideas. Look at the National School Board Association. I got the Department of Education and the Federal Bureau of Investigation to start investigating parents. And it's not just there. Look at these corporations that have gone so woke. You were just talking about these inclusive, gender-neutral M&Ms. I can't think of a weirder thing to pitch on kids with candy. We're going to look at all these wokesters and how they're pushing it. Willy Wonka would be shaken in his grave.
I mean, I think I'm just going to leave it there. Willy Wonka would be shaken in his grave. There was a time, Mike, that this would be the job of the mainstream media. They would actually take the steps that you're taking, go out there, uncover the root of all this stuff. But the mainstream media, not only silent, they're the exact opposite in many instances, holding water for the Biden administration and the regime that you are trying to uncover. Mike Howell, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much. Good luck. Keep us posted. Carly.
Thanks for having me.